Welcome back. We're doing the second president, Mr. Andrew Jackson. Well, General Andrew Jackson. He was the only president successfully to get rid of the national debt. But he was also hated by every single Indian ever. You go to an Indian and say, hey, how's your feelings on Andrew Jackson? And they live on a reservation, they may hate you. It's true, but they don't really like the guy. Kind of was mean, but he got the job done. Which, that's what he was supposed to do. He was probably the only one closest to a classical economist, that was like a president, political figure, that we may ever get. He vetoed the most bills, second to another president, I can't believe, Andrew Johnson. Second to that guy, Andrew Johnson, he vetoed everything. He hated every type of law they're going to try to spit out, regulation, hated it. He, at the time, he was getting off. Congress hated him for this, but he got 2 terms in office, and then he left because But we're going to give you 5 points for his biggest points. First one, the national debt. He wants, or national bank, not national debt, that's at the bottom. National bank. This was a private industry created by, the first president of the United States, sit there and hold out the money, distribute the money and things. He didn't like it. It was a private institution funded by private people with their own self-interest. He was more of a people's person. He wanted the people to be in control of their own money and everything. Kind of was a Federal Reserve type of thing, but it was very corrupt. He hated it. He believed it was the worst thing ever to happen to America. So one thing he did to get rid of it was, it held all of the gold and silver of the United States. What he did was distribute it throughout the banks, in the state banks themselves. There weren't many states at the time, so it was pretty easy distribution. Smaller states got smaller amount, bigger states got bigger amount, obviously. But that's what he did. And this kind of destroyed the national bank, as in, like, they didn't have any money, how can you work? It was private industry, it really wasn't, we've got no money, you can't work. It wasn't backed by the government, so the government, because Jackson hated it. So, what he did was, he destroyed the national bank. This took out a big chunk of the corruptness in America that caused a lot of the debt that we've had since the Revolutionary War, because we helped pay for that war. Dumb move, George Washington, but still, great president. Second thing he did was relocate all Indians west of the Mississippi. At the time, the country wasn't as big, but we still had a lot of land, and he wanted us to use the land. We still own the other things. He's like, you know what, Indians, you're not technically part of our union. You can join if you want by just moving out of your reservation to where we live and living with us. But he was much of an Indian killer. So what he did was just move them all. This opened up new lands, new farming opportunities for people that wanted to farm, in those certain territories and states that weren't really active, that couldn't be used. So that's the second thing he did. He got rid of all the Indians. And this was very good with, helping the national debt. Well, another thing was, he wanted to do, didn't accomplish, obviously because it's still around, he wanted to get rid of the electoral college vote. He didn't believe it was a very good way to judge people on winning president. He won both times, electoral and obviously electoral, and the popular vote. He believed, because there was enough people voting at the time, that he believed it was not, great. He didn't want it, so he thought it would be better for more people to vote if they felt like their vote counted. Because, I didn't vote for, Obama at all, or anyone for president, because my vote didn't matter. New York State was going to obviously be for Obama, majority, well, Democrats kind of here. Except for me, I don't believe in political things at all. So, electoral college, that kind of stayed. He's going to get rid of that. Next one was national debt. How did he get rid of the national debt? It's going to be last. Sorry, we're skipping that one. Paper currency. Paper currency. He hated paper currency. It's the biggest thing he thought. Because paper, you can sit there, print it out. Inflation goes up. All that type of things. He didn't believe in it. He wanted everything to be based on like a coin standard. Something you could just put it in between your teeth, bite down, and not break in half or, burn up like it was nothing. He didn't believe in paper currency. We still have it today. So he obviously did not, accomplish that goal. He hated the fact that, you could sit there, grind it out, boom, you got some paper real fast. And back then, it was really easy to do, especially in the 1800s. So that's one thing he didn't get to get rid of, was the national paper currency. So we got the national debt. This is the big one. He was the only president to get rid of the national debt. How did he do it? Well, first thing, national bank. Getting rid of the national bank was the hugest part, because then he got rid of a lot of corrupt people who were taking too much money for their position, and they were able to do it because they kind of, swayed people, saying like, we need this money to do what we do, because we're doing a great job at it. You're really doing a great job. So the national bank, since it was destroyed almost, and gave money to the states, state banks were willing to lend more money. And more people have jobs and houses and all that type of stuff, and it was better for the economy overall. Now, for the Indians, obviously, I already told you, the land. He got more land for the people and things like that, for all that. Also, the thing with the land, he sold off most of the government land and big territories to sit there and help pay for the national debt, like companies and just people who wanted to buy a couple acres for some farmland. He's like, hey, here you go, give us $300. Here you go. Here's some land. Back then, $300 was like $3,000. Well, $3,000, whatever. Anyway, it was a lot of money. But also, the national debt was decreased to a low zero. We were actually making money by the time of his presidency was over. He accomplished all 3 of his major goals. All of these were accomplished. And they were because he vetoed bills that were controlling regulation. He got rid of big private corrupt industries that were in the government. And he, a kind of mean thing to do, he got rid of the Indians, but it opened up land and opportunity to people who wanted it. And obviously the national debt, decreased. Those things led to Jackson being the only president ever to be successful enough to get it close to, and even accomplishing it, the fact that he ended the national debt, and now we're up, what, $12 trillion now? We're back? 12, 16 trillion now? For a lot of money? Get rid of the regulation, Obama. Listen to me. Adios.